Hey, what's going on, everybody? Guess what? It's Friday. It's 4:04 time, January 22nd. Is it snowing? I don't know. We're pre-recording this.
Not that far in advance. It's Wednesday in real time. So according to the weather report, it's supposed to snow shitloads on Friday.
Oh, is that an official weather.com headline?
I believe it was shitloads.
You know what's so funny about weather.com and
that?
like Weather Underground?
I don't know what Weather Underground
You've
is.
never been to Weather Underground?
No.
Okay, so Weather Underground is like weather.com's totally sane cousin. Where like Weather Underground's like, okay, everyone just relax. And weather.com's like, fucking world's ending.
Well, I think weather.com woke up to the idea of like clickbait.
Oh my God. Oh man. It's so funny you say that because the front door of weather.com is like a goddamn fear-mongering
Oh my
tabloid.
God. I haven't looked at the front page in a while. That is terrifying.
Oh my God. So like,
because they know people are just there for weather, but what can we make them do to click another thing?
and it's funny because like the tiles they have usually on the front door are really incendiary and like super scary and clickbaity.
Yeah.
But like these aren't even that bad. Like the only thing that's here that's weird, like I'm at weather.com right now. Why do I need to click on the latest about a missing 2-year-old? Like that
Was he lost in a storm?
Is he a tornado? So like that's a thing. I guess this Elias is a weather storm. Elias proves dangerous with at least 2 dead. Okay, two people dying in a storm.
I mean, it's sad.
It's sad, but
like,
it
doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I also like the fact that they're really struggling to mix it up in terms of imagery.
Yeah,
because all they have are just these generic maps.
Yeah, it's
with
tough.
Clouds and stuff on them,
like,
and a few numbers.
I've been here, and I tweeted a couple years ago, or I had to grab something that was like. It said something like 19 household items are killing you as you read this. Stuff like that. Really bad. But regardless, the huge banner at the top is like, prepare now, : and it's just like, Blizzard watch. And
that's terrifying.
But like this, it's just
like Drudge Report.
These huge graphics. It's just, and then you go to Weather Underground.
So I had never heard of this site until you mentioned it, and it's very peaceful and soothing.
Yeah, because Weather Underground lives in the real world.
6 things to know about the winter storm that will hit the mid-Atlantic Northeast.
Right, and they're like, what we know, what we don't know, what we don't know.
How's your day been? Would you like some chamomile tea, perhaps?
Have a seat, Russ. We're here to just talk about the weather and get you the information you need without having to look at some missing 2-year-old.
Would you like to hear a story from Dr. Jeff Masters, Director of Meteorology at the Weather Underground?
So the great irony in all of this,
very soothing.
The great like weirdness is that they're the same company.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. So was Weather Underground bought by weather.com?
I want to say that's the case.
Sure.
I'm not 100%
I mean,
sure.
that's like PayPal buying Venmo. Like you have similar products, but obviously you have these different brands. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I like their cute little logo. It's cute. I like it.
It's something that always kind of bugged me.
Yeah.
And now I'm glad we could use this opportunity.
I don't know why why are you going to that? I mean, there's so many apps and stuff that'll tell you what the weather's like.
Oh, I use the Weather Underground app.
Oh, got it.
Which is very sane.
Yes. Good.
So yeah, I'm going skiing this weekend.
Uh-oh.
So I got to get out of here.
How much snow has to happen before it can no longer be skied?
There's infinite. You can ski on any amount of snow.
Right, but at a certain point you can't get to the top. Like,
oh my God.
Right? You know what I mean?
You are such a dumbass, but yes.
I've gone skiing before, but pretty much only bunny slope stuff, and it's been a very long time. But there is like getting to the mountain. Presumably you could like hit a issue.
So 2 winters ago was one of the most significant snowfall winters we've had ever.
Sure.
I usually go to Killington. I usually go to Vermont. Mount Snow. Okemo. I'm a big Okemo guy. I was up in Killington two winters ago in March of 2013, and there was so much snow that the lift, they had to carve out like a path.
Yes.
When you got off the lift.
Okay.
Because the actual, like there was just like 5 feet of snow.
Sure.
And
so when your legs would ordinarily like barely be touching the ground, it was like you'd have to put your feet up.
Well, no, like they carved but they carved that out, which was I'd never seen, and they actually like for you to get to the top of the trail was like a bit of a hike,
right?
And that I'd never been to Killington where it was 100% open. Every single trail, every single thing was open.
Yeah,
that's when you know, like, hey, there's a lot of snow this year.
It's very scary skiing. It's not for me. You move too fast. Things come at you.
A good skier. So that's the thing. Like when you like going fast, yes, is a part of skiing, but you don't have to go fast. And
like
you
pizza,
shouldn't look
you
to
mean
go
more
fast.
Pizza?
Yeah, less French fry. Way more pizza.
Okay.
Pizza when you're supposed to French fry, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yes.
It's dude, it's all about carving, right? It's all about making that zigzag down the mountain. You can do that on a double black.
Yeah.
But
aren't you gonna get nailed from behind, like Burnett style?
Because people in front of you have the right of way.
So you have to wait for the jerk that's like pizzaing all the way down the mountain.
That's not a jerk move. That's just like taking your time and carving down the mountain. You know, it's tough. Like skiing, yes, is inherently dangerous, but as long as you stay somewhat in control and don't go super fast, you should be okay.
What happened to Sonny Bono?
That's not something you want to talk. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd rather you keep it in your mind than
he
not.
He was tree skiing.
Oh, that's bad. Don't do that.
Right? That's hard.
Okay, don't do that.
And dangerous.
Yeah.
I want to say like seemingly overnight, everybody started wearing helmets.
Do you wear a helmet?
Oh, hell yeah.
Good. Okay.
Of course. Without a doubt.
Right. Is Dylan going to wear a helmet?
Dylan ain't skiing. Dylan's actually going to the Killington daycare.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you get a vacation.
Yeah, he's going to go to the daycare.
For like a week straight.
Yeah.
You guys are just skiing. You'll see him eventually.
Dylan's going to do daycare, so it's going to be cool.
That's great. That's very nice.
Yeah. So we're excited about that.
Little après ski for the babies.
Why not?
Hell yeah. Live it up.
Right? I love it. Come back. He's like already like a couple beers deep, sitting by the fire.
Sounds awesome.
Where are you guys? I've been here for meet all these dudes I just met. So anyway, there's that. So that's the story about recording early. You won't realize it because this show will still go up Friday morning. If you are going out in this northeastern wintry weather, just be safe. And I think we're going to pivot into a real life discussion about Star Wars.
Oh my God.
So here's the deal.
This is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I want to preempt this with like, yeah, we're going to spoil stuff right now.
Yeah, we should go. Yeah, it's been long enough at this point.
It's been long enough. Even I've seen it. I have a kid. I saw it.
Yeah.
Like, if you still haven't seen The Force Awakens,
we want to put a time on this. We're going to say this conversation is going to wrap in 10 minutes. So if you want to skip ahead, skip ahead 10 minutes if you don't want to hear.
All right, so we're about like 8:15 into the show.
Okay.
So maybe by 18 minutes or by 20 minutes.
God willing. By 20 minutes.
By 20 minutes we'll be okay. So here we go.
Okay.
Here's your point. Last chance. Turn it off right now. Okay, that movie sucked. No, I'm kidding.
You said before the show, you said you did not like it.
I enjoyed it.
Where did you see it?
In Hoboken.
With the baby? Where was this baby?
No.
So you left Stacy and the baby?
Yeah, I saw it with a buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my buddy Corey, you know.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So when I saw the movie, I was enjoying it. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is fine.
Yeah.
Even went to bed that night happy.
Okay.
I woke up the next morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was hustled. I just got hustled. That was a hose job.
I mean, it is very manipulative. There's no question about it. They definitely are playing on emotion through that entire movie.
So, and maybe that's my biggest hang up with it is that, man, why is that movie so much like A New Hope? It's so much like A New Hope that it's almost insulting.
So this is my take on it. And it's hard because I totally agree with that. And if I were to complain about anything, it would absolutely be that, is that it's so super familiar and you like know the plot beats before they even happen. My take on it...
Which is crazy.
But my take on it is the reason for it, the rationale, is that you want people to have these connections to characters that they've never met before and you're sort of kind of making these like subconscious mental connections, like, oh, this character's like Luke Skywalker, oh, this character's like Han Solo, etc. But they're new characters, so they want people to like create these bonds with these characters very early on. And so by not making it a very plot-centric movie, which it really is not a plot.
It is so surface level.
Yeah, it's just the characters that are really supporting this entire movie. I think it succeeds in what it was trying to do, which was introduce you to those characters. The other example of that is the first Star Trek movie that J.J. Abrams did. The same exact thing. No one remembers the villain from that movie, or if you do, you're like, that villain kind of sucked. At least in Star Wars, the villain's at least a little bit interesting. He's whiny. Don't get me wrong. Kylo Ren's a whiny little baby.
He was almost like my favorite part of the movie.
But I liked him. Like, he was entertaining, and like I liked the fact. The one thing I did like. So sorry, I liked a lot of things, but the thing that really stuck out to me is that you're dealing with all these same themes and same plot beats that we've seen before, but they take certain things that you've seen for your entire life.
Yeah.
Like Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But turn it. So like the second I saw blood on the Stormtrooper mask, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
That was cool.
That's
was
a very cool.
Yeah.
And they do that a lot. Like they like seeing a character like Kylo Ren be like throw a hissy fit and like wail away at the computer because something never happened. So they're really, I think they're setting these expectations of like, oh, this is all familiar. We've seen this before. And then shifting it where it's like, oh, I've never seen a whatever girl Jedi kick so much ass, etc.
Right.
I think that's the idea of it.
Of course. And again, I want to stress, like, yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I
don't think it's a life-changing movie. I think it felt safe in a lot of ways, but it also was sort of a reboot, essentially, of the franchise, which is like, no, it's cool to like this again. You can have fun going to Star Wars movies. You don't have to like dread whatever trade politics.
Yeah, it's funny you brought up the blood part because I had the exact same reaction.
It's amazing.
Where you were like, what?
I would say that moment is probably the best moment in the entire movie.
Well, it was perfect because it and that happens right away.
It's very early.
And it also like marks him.
Yeah.
And it's just it was very clever.
Because you've seen that scene, the stormtroopers running out into a crowd, they're shooting their blasters. You've seen that. You see the hero shooting at them. You're like, oh, well, they're falling over, whatever. Yeah. And then you see that. And you're like, wait, what are we seeing?
So I think that plays on so many different levels because that blood also explains like, oh no, stormtroopers aren't really like robots. They're people.
Right.
And up until...
Well, yeah. I mean, like the Clone Wars, they like in that, I think the cartoon, which I've never really watched, but I'm sure they play that up more as well. But you're right. Like they've never personified it. And they also make a special note in this movie to say there's like clone stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And then these are different. So these are like a special forces raised from childhood to be like soldiers. And that's what Finn is. And his whole crew,
which I guess at the same time I also like it also rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, no, these guys are robots. Why all of a sudden they have like consciences and stuff like that?
Well, that guy's an aberration. And I like the other guy that like shows up and he's like, traitor.
Yeah,
and he's pissed at him for some reason.
I'm like, what? You guys aren't supposed to
they have emotions now.
Yeah, but now they do. Now they do.
Just these guys because they're not clones.
The whole New Order thing is First Order
weird.
It's weird.
They should have
so Nazi and like stupid and come on.
It's just very odd because they don't really explain what the state of the rest of the universe is.
Like
so
you're supposed to.
Are they the new empire?
Yeah,
How big are they?
And at the end,
they built a planet-sized weapon. They've got to have millions and millions of people.
It's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
You don't just do that overnight.
It's not something. That's something that takes decades to plan.
Okay, just to nerd out for a second. Why do laser beams cause people to bleed?
Yeah, and not just like codify, like right away.
Cauterize.
Yeah. Codify? That's not a freaking word.
It is a word, but not in that context.
Cauterize.
Yes.
Why doesn't it like instant cauterization?
Although I guess you've seen like in surgery, maybe like that could cause some, like if you're doing eye surgery, does that cause you to bleed when they do like laser eye surgery?
No.
It doesn't?
Because you're not going where the blood's at in the eye.
Ugh, gross.
You're just taking off that top eye skin part.
Yeah. I know. So is that your big complaint, that essentially it's just a reboot?
The reboot, the shield on the vulnerable shield on the freaking surface of the Death Star.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, why are they always building these vulnerable things on the surface?
Yeah. It was very after the fact.
Even that part with Oscar Isaac is just like, oh man, you remember that first Death Star? Well, this one's like way bigger. And that's what we're up
against.
Plus
100.
He's like, that's what we're up against.
My one worry right now, even though I did really enjoy the movie, all your points are valid, but I like the movie. My concern, the next movie, which we should mention just got delayed to December 2017. That's the next Episode 8.
Which is when it should come out anyway.
There is a Star Wars movie that's coming out between then. There's one coming out this year in 2016.
Really?
Called Star Wars Rogue One.
Oh, is that?
Which is the first, I think, and the Star Wars Stories or Star Wars Anthology. They have a name for it. But essentially, these are Star Wars movies that have nothing to do with this main arc of Luke Skywalker and his bros.
So they'll probably talk about these people. But you'll
well,
never
not necessarily.
See
I think Rogue One actually, the plot of Rogue One is that it focuses on getting the plans for the original Death Star. So it's set before Episode 4, between 3 and 4. And it's like a heist movie about getting the plans for the Death Star. So it's kind of interesting.
Who's getting the plans?
A ragtag crew.
So it's like Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's unknown, but that is the general plot, is that it's focused on them getting the, and all we know about that so far is that many Bothans died for that information.
Bothan? What's a Bothan?
There's a line in Episode 4 where they say, after they hand over the plans to the original Death Star, they're like, many Bothans died for this information. No one knows what the hell a Bothan is, what they look like.
Oh, really?
Nobody has any
clue. So we finally get to find out who the Bothans are.
Yeah. And
what they look like. If they decide to even honor that.
That would be funny.
They just totally
just
disregard that whole Bothans line in Ep 4.
I was just going to say, my one fear with the main trilogy is that all of them are just going to be like retellings of the old stories, which is like, oh, Kylo Ren's going to wake up and realize, oh, it's not nice to be mean. I'm going to be nice now. And we're going to work together to fight the big hologram dude, you know?
There's no way.
And just like retell the Darth Vader story, which would just blow. But who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, like I said, don't hate on me. Don't call me out and be like, oh, Jeff, you're such a hater. You hate everything.
You do hate everything.
That movie's not, the movie was okay.
You hated Cloverfield and you hated Star Wars.
That movie was just okay. It was fun. I had a good time.
I'd give it a A-.
I'd give it a solid B-.
B plus A-.
It's getting a B- from me. Okay. Speaking of grading movies for no particular reason, Mr. Jordan Hoffman back on the show. February 19th, our pre-Oscar
It's like a month from
party.
Now. We're already teasing it?
Well, no, like, people were really pumped
Jordan's
about
awesome.
Jordan.
I've known Jordan for almost 10 years now. He's great.
And, when he was on it, I started following him on Twitter, and he's just, like, a lot of fun on Twitter.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a great
Super
dude.
fun.
And he's a Monmouth County
And he's,
boy,
like, a major big deal in the Star Trek community.
He himself?
Yes.
He's a guy.
He's a guy.
What does that mean?
He is like one of the main writers for StarTrek.com. He goes to conventions and like covers them, and everyone knows him. And
wow,
it's like a thing.
So he hates Star Wars.
No, he likes Star Wars too. Surprisingly.
Oh, I didn't realize you could be both.
Yeah, me neither.
All right, I learned something new every day. I also learned this week about Amazon's new replenishment service.
Yeah, this has been around for a while though.
So this was around in the form of a dash button.
They had like the things that had Tide on them, and you'd push it, and it would just get you more Tide.
So the idea was like you basically like stuck that onto your washing machine.
Yeah.
And then when you ran out of Tide, you clicked the button.
Yeah.
And the button automatically ordered more.
It's smart. It's a good idea.
It's a good idea, but like, what's to stop you from just like hitting that button by accident?
I'm sure there's a fail-safe.
Like, how does that work? Regardless, now they're like, okay, that was just a test. We're actually going to build that technology into a few products with some people we've teamed up with.
Okay.
So they did it with like a printer that knows to order more ink.
No one uses printers anymore.
Seems like a out of touch sort of product to start out with. They did it with. They are doing it with a dishwasher, with a laundry machine that's going to order more detergent. Although, how would the laundry machine know you need more detergent?
You just put all of your detergent in there,
or is it just like, oh, you've done 40 washes? That feels like a bottle's done. Maybe.
No.
Then, like an automated Purell dispenser. will just like order more.
Okay,
Purell.
but that makes sense for like from a corporate standpoint.
And there's a few other things. They're also going to introduce one that orders more batteries when your automatic door lock is running low on them.
What the hell is an automatic door lock?
So
that runs on batteries.
Well, there's like some door lock that uses like Bluetooth.
Oh, it's like a smart door lock.
Yeah, it's smart lock.
I guess it never occurred to me that they would have they would need batteries, but of course that makes sense.
Yeah, how do you expect the
lock? What a pain in the ass.
How do you expect the lock to disengage?
I've never liked smart devices before, and now I really don't like them.
I don't know. Why are we calling it a smart lock if the dumbass thing can run out of batteries? Seems like a dumbass lock. Anyway, so I did this story yesterday on CNET Update. If you want to go watch some entertaining internet video, go do that. But so this is just something that's starting to happen, and it makes sense, right? Like Amazon's device director Daniel, Rausch. We talked to him about this whole thing.
Okay, did you talk to him?
No, the guy who wrote this for CNET. He goes, well, what's the deal with this? Why do this? So the guy goes, let's be honest, this is not shopping that people love. Nobody wakes up in the morning and is like, man, I can't wait to buy laundry detergent today. He's totally right.
I mean, why do this? It's great for them and it's great for these companies. Like, it's essentially guaranteed. It's like you have a Netflix subscription for your washing machine.
Yeah.
So, like, ordinarily what I would do, I run out of detergent. I realize it the second I'm trying to do laundry. I walk next door and pay extra at the bodega to buy like a tiny thing of detergent just to get it out of the way.
Right.
Rather than that, we have detergent coming in on the regs, and it's always coming from Amazon, so they're always getting a percentage of it. Like, it makes sense from a business standpoint.
Totally. This is the world we are living and will be living in for a very long time.
Very smart things.
Where it's just like stuff that you do. It's eliminating the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for me...
For the benefit of a mega corporation.
Of course, but at the same time, giving you back time and probably a little bit of money. Because like, think about it. Like,
totally. You're not saving money going next door.
No.
Right.
Like, think about... So I used, like, this, for me, the biggest game changer for me, aside from maybe something like Uber, has been two things. Amazon Prime.
Sure.
And Fresh Direct.
Yeah. Fresh Direct's a biggie.
Fresh Direct has changed my life.
And I feel like, I think that's something that's more universal. So, like, if you just know, like, I live 20 minutes away from a supermarket, it's like a thing. Like, you have to, like, make whether you're walking or whether you're driving, it's like a process that you don't necessarily want to deal with. And getting rid of that necessity is a huge time saver.
It's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like,
they don't have very good produce whenever I get Fresh Direct, though.
Dude, no.
Well, it depends on where you are.
Totally disagree.
Depends on where you are. That's the thing. They're getting it
geographically.
Yeah, geographically. Like, are you close to a good supermarket that they're pulling from?
No, Fresh Direct doesn't do that. They have their own warehouse.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because...
I found it to be very inconsistent.
Well, see, we found it to be actually quite consistent because it makes sense. Why would they give you shitty-looking produce when they know you could just complain, get a refund? Like, it's in their best interest to pick out quality produce.
Yeah, I guess. I've just not had very good luck so far. We did use Amazon's Fresh Direct competitor.
Pantry.
Recently.
Fresh.
Fresh. It's called Fresh.
Yeah, how'd that work?
So we did it, and I actually liked, like, the food that came was nice and good. My one complaint with it shows up in these bags. They're like huge tote bags. It's not like Fresh Direct where it's like the cardboard boxes. They're like tote bags, and they're enormous. And the idea is when you reorder more whatever Amazon Fresh, you leave them outside, they take the tote bags away, and they leave you like replacement tote bags.
Yeah.
We have no intention of ever using the thing anytime soon, even though we liked it. It just, like, it's a little more expensive than just going to the supermarket, whatever. These things are in our house. And it took me like a good half hour of Googling to be like, can I just throw these away? Because they're not like, they're like good tote bags with like insulation and
Why
stuff like
would
that.
you keep them?
I threw them away. I live in an apartment. I can't keep everything that comes into the apartment. I know you live like hoarders, but some people...
What?
Yeah, I know you have your treasures, and you can't get rid of your treasures.
These things are cool, man.
How many pets are dead somewhere in your house?
6 to 7?
6 to 7. Yeah.
That's all.
No, Jeff's apartment is very nice.
Thanks. Yeah, that was disingenuous. Okay, let's switch gears back to entertainment news for just a second. We got to talk about this new Suicide Squad trailer that debuted this week.
Yeah.
So, Russ Frushtick, is your interest in Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Do you have more of an interest, less of an interest, or unchanged?
I would say slightly more than I did before.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, let me start by saying that, as we've talked about on the show before, I think Batman vs. Superman looks like a giant pile of dog shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think it looks absolutely awful, and I have zero interest in ever going to that movie.
So, okay, I want to circle back to that for a second.
On that. This movie feels like it's leaning into this new kind of take on superhero movies, which is very self-aware and very like fun and like lighthearted, but also like very, I guess, not holding back. I think one of the big issues with superhero movies is that the stakes feel kind of generally made up. It's like aliens land or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so you have these characters that are very archetypal and strong man and whatever, and they don't have a lot of depth to them. So here, I don't know. This looks just like a fun, I like the Dirty Dozen and like those sorts of movies.
Yeah.
And I like anti-heroes and like them being jerks and not wanting to help people, but they sort of just have to rely on them. Obviously, Expendables is a direct comparison, but I would say so far the marketing for this movie, the posters look really cool. This trailer, which uses Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, I thought they edited the song and it worked really well for the trailer personally. I'm so much more engaged with what they're doing here than Batman vs. Superman. It's not even close.
That goes without saying.
But I have no affinity apart from the Joker and maybe Harley Quinn. I have no affinity for any of these characters. So it's telling that I'm like kind of into it despite that. That's like an accomplishment that they've pulled off.
I don't know how I feel about this movie.
Okay.
I've seen some cheese. I am not all in on the Jared Leto Joker thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. At least they're doing something different. Like that, I think that's the problem they're in, is that they can't just repeat, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger. They need to like do something a little different. I don't like the costume, but I think the lines that he said in the trailer so far, I don't know. The performance seems fine. He's a good actor.
I just don't. He is a good actor. I like him as an actor. I just don't know if I'm buying what he's selling.
Okay.
There's been a little bit of cheese that rubs me the wrong way in some of the trailers.
Like what?
Harley Quinn at the end of the new trailer, something like, well, come on, we're the bad guys.
Yeah,
like,
okay, that was a little much. Don't get me wrong, this movie could end up being horrible, like really bad.
And it's tough. At least you can sniff it out with Batman vs. Superman, where you're like, oh no, there's no hiding the fact.
A lot of the fact, they show so much dialogue in that trailer, the Batman vs. Superman trailer, that like, you can see just in the dialogue that it's gross. And also the CG and all that stuff. But this is mostly like action. It's like a really well edited trailer, in my opinion, that you don't get any. You don't know whether it's written well. You don't know any of that stuff. I have hopes, but I'll absolutely 100% wait for the reviews before going.
I mean, look, the biggest thing that we like to do is look at who's involved. And David Ayer, the director of and writer of Suicide Squad, I believe. I mean, this guy did Fury. He did.
Oh, people like Fury.
People like Fury. He did Training Day.
I love. Did he?
I'm sorry. He wrote Training Day.
He wrote Training Day.
I love End of Watch. People like End of Watch.
I know. I've not seen that movie.
Sabotage. I don't know about that film. And then he also did he wrote the first Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Which
okay.
I think
he's got some good. That's some good writing credits.
So
it could go either way.
It really could.
The real question is whether he had the ability to like push back. So where a movie like Fantastic Four went off the rails completely was apparently the studio just kept coming in and being like, oh, we got to get this guy in there. We got to get this guy in there.
Right.
And they bring in generally they'll bring in like rookie directors. In Fantastic Four, it was the director of Chronicle, because they know they can push them around. This guy, he's been working in the industry for, a while, about 20 years at this point, almost 20 years. So the hope is that he knows how to push back, but who knows? I mean, it is a big movie for them.
I love that's the thing. Like, can this guy stick up for himself?
It is weird.
Like, that's all it is.
It's almost like you have an empty shirt directing the movie.
Right, but like, think about how inherently ridiculous that is. Where it's like,
it doesn't matter, because you look at a movie like Jurassic World, which was directed by a very small director, and it became no longer, but it was the highest grossing movie ever. It doesn't matter in a lot of cases. Obviously, if something goes really wrong.
But we don't know about the studio influence of that movie. You would imagine.
Of which movie?
Of Jurassic World.
I think there was a lot.
I mean, so do I, but I'm saying, like, we don't know for sure.
I mean, the second that there's that much money on the line, you don't just, like, let go.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of a lot of money on the line, going back to Batman vs. Superman real quick. So what do you think, how do you think that's going to play out? Again, like, you and I clearly have a very specific opinion about that movie.
Yeah.
It probably will do okay, though.
Oh, how do you financially how it'll do?
My whole thing is like, do you think they're in a situation where they go, okay, we got to commit? Like, is this going to get like the Super Bowl thing? Like, I'm saying,
in terms of marketing,
money?
They're going to spend a shitload on marketing.
I feel like they're going to keep pushing their foot on the gas pedal.
100%.
Right? Because now they're pot committed. They're all in. They're like, look, this is either going to be
because at a certain point, unless it's a major like disaster scenario stinker, if you spend enough money, you'll make a lot of money.
You can buy your money back.
Because you look at a movie like Jurassic World, which was not critically acclaimed.
No, because it wasn't a good movie.
No, because it wasn't a good movie. Yeah. Still made a ton of money because the marketing was so all over the place, and it had the elements that like people would be engaged.
What does this all say about us? Like, don't you find something upsetting in the like? I know it's low hanging fruit, but like, don't you see some like great cosmic tragedy in all this, where it's like.
It doesn't
and even with Star
me.
Wars, man.
Yeah.
Even with Star Wars, because like Star Wars is so much bigger than just that movie.
Sure.
It's this culture. It's like football. You know what I mean? Like, it is its own ecosystem that is like feeding off a lot of gnarly, really slimy stuff. And it's just this like perpetual marketing monster.
I mean,
like,
that's business, though. That's
business,
capitalism.
But like, yeah, it is. But after a while, it's like not. It's sort of like a religion. You know, where
I mean,
it transcends.
I know. A lot of people in studios, from a studio perspective, sort of look at it like, well, these are paying the bills, so we can do the piano,
sure,
or some whatever they want to tell themselves.
I like that answer.
Sure,
I hope that's right.
Yeah,
I hope it's right for all of our sakes.
Yeah.
Speaking of the great art of movie making, and something that's not really used anymore in that process, but used to be, film.
Oh, film.
I
recently I watched the HBO series. It's called Project Greenlight. You familiar with it?
Damon and Affleck, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this past season, they brought in some guy, and he was like a real auteur and insisted on shooting on film. Ugh. And like a large chunk of the series was like people going on and being like, it's going to cost $300,000. Your budget is like $2 million. Really? This is where you want to spend your money? And there's like fights over it, and they're taking him to like post-production houses. Like, look, this is what digital looks like. You can barely tell. He's like, I can tell.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't think I can tell.
So there was a time.
Yeah.
There was like a transitive
you
sort
were a
of
film
period.
Kid, though.
Totally.
Yeah.
There was like a transitive period of time when we were still like in limbo.
Sure.
Where I could tell for sure.
Yeah.
I cannot tell.
Right. Totally.
I can't.
I saw Revenant in theaters, and I saw Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight was shot 70 millimeter film, very fancy. Revenant was shot digitally with a brand new camera. They both look astonishingly gorgeous, and I could not, like, if I didn't know that before going in, I wouldn't be able to say, oh, that's film, that's digital.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where, I mean,
and it's probably more limiting to shoot on film because you have to keep the cuts shorter, I would imagine. No? And what about the weight of the camera? Like, can you put...
Oh my God, it's the most inconvenient, ridiculous thing ever.
It's a pain in the ass, right?
Not to mention, like, oh, hey, light can't touch this.
Right.
Like if we screw up this mag, that whole reel is done.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, when I was in school, it was on the precipice of, like, this big change.
Sure.
And as a freshman, I shot on film. As a senior, I shot on mini DV.
Yeah.
So it was great to see both sides.
Do they still make kids use like shoot on Super 8 in like the first year of film school?
I bet now it's like an elective. Although you really should like understand your roots.
Sure.
Like, you should get to know what it's like to cut and splice.
I guess.
Because I think it adds more value and importance on the cut.
Yeah, because you can't just undo it.
Right. Like, I think it definitely makes you appreciate the cut more.
Yeah, but you could technically argue the same thing, like, oh, you should learn typing on a typewriter.
No,
because you have to white out any
bullshit.
mistake. But that's what you're saying, essentially.
No, I don't know if I'm saying that. Because, that's not the same thing. I'm not going to let you get away with that analogy.
Fine.
But you hear what I'm saying? Like,
I know what you mean.
Again, I don't think it's totally mandatory. But
it's amazing. I mean, it is amazing because, like, just to think about the process that went into, like, cutting The Godfather. I mean, presumably they had a little more modern stuff. But
I'm sure
it wasn't a dude with a razor. It was probably like a machine that did it.
It was probably a machine that kind of did it.
Those reel-to-reels that look like, whatever.
But I'm sure, like, I really do think at one point, like someone had to, like, bring the hammer down.
Yeah.
To the guillotine down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's crazy. That's the thing. I bring it up because I saw this on Reddit in the Explain It Like I'm 5 subreddit, and I was like, yeah, that's something I've always wondered about. And the question was, why did film have to start out in black and white? Why wasn't there, a color right away? What part of the technology was missing that was not allowing there to be color?
Yes, I know what you mean.
Right?
Because it's essentially like, it almost feels like you're doing extra work by, like, well, it's color right there in the world.
Right.
You're turning it black and white. What the hell?
It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
Yeah. But essentially, if I were to guess, I haven't read this through yet. Okay. But if I were to guess, I would say, the idea of, like, color variation is, like, a very sensitive thing. But just determining, like, lightness versus darkness is much more straightforward. So it's a much narrower scope that you're really looking at.
More or less. So the highest voted reply here says that color film was actually extremely high tech. It took a lot of care, trial and error, and investment to get it to work right. Black and white film is a sheet sandwiching a layer of gelatin full of silver crystals. These crystals darken very quickly in a similar fashion to sunburn.
Cool.
Just like sunburn, you don't get a variety of colors, just different levels of darker than your normal skin.
Sure.
Color film is actually the same process, but with several more layers of emulsions for each color. So now you have a sandwich that is like quadruple layered, but in order for it to work, it has to be thin enough to go through the camera. So all those layers and protective interlayers are thinner than a human hair, and that's the technology.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which is pretty crazy.
They went from zero to color pretty quickly, though.
They did.
Like, I guess, I mean, it was before Wizard of Oz. Obviously, it was color, but still, like, Wizard of Oz was, what, 1930?
1939.
39?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess video. So when were the first, like, movie pictures?
You're talking about when the first video was?
Yeah.
Well, look at it like the Twilight Zone, right? Twilight Zone, by like the third season, they were doing video.
Shooting on video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that, I don't know. It's got to be like 50s, right? 60s, 50s, 60s?
I want to know, do you know how they colorize stuff?
On video?
Just in general.
No, I don't know.
Me neither. I'm curious. Next time.
Hopefully we'll
look it up.
We'll add that, and hopefully it gets added by the time we're ready to go next week.
Yeah.
And then I fell into a deep Reddit hole a few days ago.
Oh boy, that happens.
Yeah, so I got started thinking about the history of credit cards, because somebody put up a post talking about.
I saw that the old timey. It was like a metal card.
It was like a dog tag.
Yeah, that a certain restaurant, I guess it was, sent someone.
Yeah,
and it was like a letter. It was like a formal letter being like, "This is your card for use at all of our establishments. We've opened a line of credit for you."
Right.
But it only worked at a specific place.
Right.
So presumably, I'm reading here now, but like presumably Diners Club was like, oh, here's like a dozen or whatever it is, 50 restaurants that all agreed to like run under the same credit system. Am I close?
Yeah, you're nailing it.
And essentially, it just evolved from there to the point where, like, oh, why just stop at restaurants? And more people joined these clubs, and they became American Express and MasterCard.
Yeah, that's all it really was just like banks coming together saying, hey, we're going to basically, allow people to open credit with us.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it like in 1967, it was just starting to gain popularity.
Yeah.
Like in 1960, you couldn't just go anywhere and just sort of like buy something. You had to like, this doesn't really get into like how you would buy a big thing. Like how would you buy a refrigerator?
Write a check?
Would you write a check?
I guess you'd write a check.
For like $30 or whatever a refrigerator cost.
Probably a little more in 1960 would be my guess, but maybe not that much more.
Right? Like how did that all work?
Yeah.
It's weird. Anyway, yeah. And basically it was a bunch of banks coming together, competing against each other, saying, oh no, we're going to offer more compatibility with more.
Right.
And that's cool. How MasterCard got started. But like for me, it's all like I'm super curious about the technology, and that's something this doesn't really get into. Where it's like, yeah, for a really long time they were doing the carbon copy stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's how it started.
Sure.
And then when it went electronic, then you had, I mean, think about how much credit fraud there must have been when they were just using the carbon copy.
I'm sure it was nonstop.
Like, I feel like it must have been open season for just nefarious credit
and
stuff.
I still travel, like sometimes I'll travel outside the U.S. and like they're still using like the carbon copy thing, and that's
are they really?
Sometimes, yeah.
It's crazy. Like, what does that even do?
Yeah, nothing.
And I mean, some poor asshole at the end of the day has to like collect all those and like
write them. I don't know.
And like call someone and be like, okay, I've got 4,300 transactions I need to go through right now with you. You're listening?
That seems like overkill,
right?
Yeah, it's weird, man. And have you noticed like they're starting to ask you to put your credit card in the machine now? Do you have one of those chip cards?
So that's a new layer of security that just was supposed to be apparently widespread by October of last year.
It's getting. I mean, I'm seeing it more and more.
Yeah,
like places like CVS and stuff definitely require it. Apparently, it cuts down on credit card fraud immensely.
Yeah. Because it's like a two-step verification thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And apparently Europe has been using it for much, much longer, and that's why almost all the credit card fraud in the world uses American cards, because we've been so far behind from a security standpoint. So it's good. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass. The machine buzzes at me whenever it wants me to put it. Like, settle down, machine. I'll do it.
I always liked the fact that when I went to Europe, they would bring the credit card machine to you. So like what they would do is you would have a meal and you'd get ready to pay, and when you're ready they would bring this like little,
Is that a European thing?
Yeah, I guess.
I've been to Europe, but I don't remember ever that ever happening.
This is everywhere there. They would bring the machine to you. It's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
They would bring the machine to you, they would swipe your card, and then you would like push buttons on this little keypad and you'd be done.
But you wouldn't tip them because that would be boorish.
Is that like
you don't? Well, I guess it's country to country, but certain countries you don't tip.
It is tipping is a weird.
That's a
weird
whole
thing.
other.
That's a whole other podcast.
Ball wax.
Okay, I'm gonna let you do your weird thing that you want to do.
Oh my god,
today.
It's been so long.
It has been a while.
Weird animal facts is here again. Weird animal facts. So
pick one.
Okay, we've got one. I pulled a couple of them, but I'll save one for next week. They found a crocodile. This probably happens a lot. Crocodiles haven't changed in forever, right? That's what they say. Crocodiles are exactly the same for hundreds of millions of years.
Hundreds of millions of years?
This crocodile that they found was 130 million years ago. They found this thing.
Wait, what do you mean they found it 130
Well, I'm sorry. The fossil that they found was 130 million years old. And it's mostly unchanged.
That's amazing.
Except for this one is more than 30 feet long and 3 tons.
Stop it.
That's like a bus.
That's like the megalodon.
It's basically a school bus sized crocodile. And that was pretty common back then. Animals were just giant because of the, I think, more oxygen rich air. Animals just got really big.
Wait, is that the reason?
That's one
You're
of the
full
many.
Of actual shit.
That's one of the many reasons.
That's not a thing. Is
Yes.
that a thing?
Yes.
Where are you reading this?
I remember it from school.
I feel like I'm having someone crazy talk to me.
Okay, I'm Googling giant prehistoric animals. It was like...
And why?
And why?
Well,
rabbit's hairs. This is great. Okay. The largest known prehistoric lagomorph, which I believe is like a rabbit type situation, was a giant lagomorph. It was a 50-pound rabbit.
How big? How big is it though?
It doesn't. 50 pounds.
Is that like 3 feet tall? No, it's like
a kangaroo-sized rabbit. Maybe like a wallaby-sized rabbit.
I don't know.
Big. That's a big rabbit.
It's very large.
Right.
Well, like there was mastodons and megalodons and all these like prehistoric animals that were just like
dinosaurs.
They were
pretty big.
Those were big.
Yeah.
Why were they so big?
Because of the oxygen.
Why did the good Lord make them so big back then?
You did a good job making them how big they are. We'll learn more about giant animals on another time because I haven't done that research. But this crocodile that they just found it. It is 30 feet long and 3 tons in weight.
Was the operative word.
Who knows?
No.
I've seen Jurassic Park. Who knows? Tomorrow they could... Isla Nubla, whatever it's called.
Isla Nubla.
Isla Nubla.
Isla Nublar.
I would go there.
So, like, what? But you know about Megalodon, right?
Yeah, he was pretty big. The shark, right?
That shark.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was pretty big.
Like that thing.
How do you even find enough food to sustain something that big?
Like he would have to eat.
I mean, whales alone, like blue whales, run around today.
Yeah.
Not run around, but yeah.
Blue whale's the biggest animal on Earth, right?
Like really krill is enough.
That's it? You're living off the algae?
You don't want any like major protein, like some bacon maybe?
He's like, I'm fine. I got to lose some weight. I've been around for... You think I live this long just by eating all this protein? No. I got to pace myself.
They also really didn't try with that name, did they? Humpback, okay.
The blue whale?
Blue whale. He's blue.
He's blue.
Anything other... any other elements that are extraordinary about this
call
whale?
Like blue barnacle whale?
Blue, hugest goddamn whale you've ever seen.
Yeah. Do you know what?
No, he's blue. We got it.
The megalodon would have to eat like a community of seals.
Yeah.
Like an entire population.
Yeah, how do you sustain... Oh, I guess if there's no fishing, like he was it. He was like a fishing... He was like Japan back then.
Yeah.
Where Japan goes out and fishes all the whales in the sea. That was Megalodon.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So chew on that this weekend.
Settle down, Japan, with your whale hunting. No one needs it.
Right?
Enough.
It's a bad look.
Yeah.
Well, bud, I think we've reached the end of this fine show.
It's been a very focused.
Yeah, we were
very organized.
Yeah, I was just about to say we were all over the place today. Is what I was about to say.
Yeah.
866-404-CNET. Shoot us a voicemail, or if you want to hook it up on the internet email, go for that as well. the44@cnet.com. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Hey, participate in the subreddit. I've been a little off my game with that.
Oh, Jeff. I'm in there every single day.
But people have been adding some stuff there, so that's been a lot of fun. So make sure you participate in the conversation when you're not listening to the show. Or if you want to be like super involved, listen to the show, and whilst listening to the show, log yourself in to Reddit and comment.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Real time.
While you're driving.
The driving I'm not going to endorse. As if you're doing anything else, go for it.
Yeah, subscribe, rate, all that stuff. I do want to mention I have another thing that's going on.
Yeah, subscribe to Russ's show.
You can subscribe to my show, The West Wing History Class. New episodes every Wednesday. We just put out an episode today, even though you're listening to this on Friday. And yeah, it's good. If you like The West Wing or have never seen the show, but really want something to waste, 300 hours of your life on Netflix, this is a nice little companion podcast for when you're not obsessing about the show.
300 hours is
I don't know if it's that long. It's probably like 150 episodes would be my guess of the whole series. So you do the math on that. But 42 minutes.
It's a lot.
Anyway.
Very good, sir.
Very good stuff.
We will be back next week with a brand new show. Until then, please enjoy your weekend. I'm Jeff Bacalard.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
This has been the 404 Show, High Tech, Lowbrow. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.